had a very strange experience. As I was coming down the stairs, I was peeking. I was like, what in the world is happening to me? I had this feeling that if I did not create the floor under my feet with my mind, that I would fall through the floor. And so I'm walking very carefully like this, tripping, just, oh shit. It turns out that that's exactly what happened in the Rainbow Project Philadelphia experiment. It turns out that the people who could remember where they were before they went into this gray mist of zero time didn't get stuck in the hull of the ship. But the people who couldn't remember where the ship was and couldn't create the ship from memory, when they got through, they were stuck in the hull and died in many cases because you can't pull somebody out. So he said, you know, he has some weird ideas, and, you know, he thought that I was connected to the project somehow, like my soul is basically helping to relieve the karma of the planet through this thing that happened. And I guess this is part of what I have to do, is share this with you, because obviously there's a reason why I met this guy. And that's the funny thing, too, is you can tell that this is real because people ask me a question and I pop out with something new, because I've had many, many hours of conversation with Daniel. No, I'm not gay. No, we're not homosexually involved. Somebody wrote that on the internet. It's like, forget it. I haven't even seen him in 2 years. We were just friends, that's all. Okay? Get over it. And even if I was gay, which I'm not, what possible difference would that have to my message or to the value of the material that I'm sharing with you? Can I get an amen on that? Come on. I mean, really, let's just let go of these ridiculous prejudices, because everybody has a right to be here. Every soul is precious beyond measure. I am not a racist. The DNA level shows us that we are so similar that you cannot actually tell what somebody's race is from a genetic test. There's only very, very weird special things that they have to go out of their way to find to look. But we're 99.9% the same. It is. It's a smear tactic, and it's being used to dumb us down and to get us fighting with each other rather than looking to the source of the problem. Okay? But that's what we're doing. By shedding light on it, we're helping to understand it. So, the reason why I'm going to go into rifts and holes in time is because it has to do with 2012, and it has to do with you breaking down the conditioning. Let me finish the sentence. Breaking down the conditioning that has kept you from seeing the greater reality that we live in. Question?
Can you go back to the 20-year space-time cycle?
Yep.
So you were saying before that at the apex of the current cycle, you get a rift in time, and one was created in 1943, another one in 1983. Is there a possibility of that happening again at some point in the other?
Yeah. Okay. He asked a good question, which is, okay, the apexes of the wave and the bottoms of the wave is a 20-year cycle, but especially from top to top, the 40-year cycle, from 43 to 83, you get this big conduit, you get this big rift that was created by the Philadelphia experiment. Now again, it could have been anywhere. It was the fact that the Philadelphia experiment was done when it was that created a harmonic coupling 40 years later. That's all. I don't know for a fact that that was on the peak of the wave. He didn't say that. However, this wave is a subharmonic. It's only a subharmonic. The 2012 wave is much more powerful because we're dealing with ultimately a 26,000-year cycle. Don't say anything, man. I don't even want to hear it, all right?
Then here's my question, all right? You can talk as long as you like. You have a unique perspective on Edgar Casey. Edgar Casey
I knew this was going to happen.
Correct. No.
It's the psychic premonition, right?
Dude, I ain't backing on you, man. No. Okay, so now you threw me off here. All right, so what was I talking about? Oh, yes, 2012. The idea here is that it's having a unique perspective on Edgar Casey. All right, Casey did, I think, you correct me if I'm wrong on this, he did a grand total of, I think, only 14 readings that actually dealt with the future, right? About 14 readings that did with the future, yes? Yes? And of those 14 readings, a lot of them were interrupted by his clients who were, who said, I don't want to know anything about that. Just tell me if my partner's a crook and things like that, right? And Casey has been not only amazingly prescient about what's going on, and his predictions have come true in a way, but not in the cataclysmic nature that a lot of people have expected. For example, he said that in 1998 to 2000 that there would be a shifting of the poles, period, or the beginning of a new age. And it is interesting because there was a polar shift. Not many people know it. In 98 to 2000 or so, when the poles actually shifted, there's 3 magnetic north poles. And the pole actually shifted from one to another to another.
If you're talking about Chandler's Wobble, yeah.
Yeah, Chandler's Wobble, exactly. Did happen. He talked about 1998, the Library of Atlantis, the beginning that it would be found, and of course in 96 there was an earthquake in Cairo that cracked open the Sphinx Temple complex, and we think that the Tomb of Osiris might be the foyer, if you will, to what might possibly be the Atlantean aspect. So considering that a lot of Casey's predictions have been pulled down, so to speak. They have been softened by prayer and human action and what have you. And you don't have to stick to that. I'm just pointing out, because of your unique connection to this, the connection and what I am of interest to me, we seem to have done so much work along the lines of the Mayan calendar, the harmonic convergence of 1987, meditations that have been done 92, 94, earthquakes that have been lessened in California. I mean, working with the Prophecy Research Institute, when Gordon Michael Scallion was talking about the whole West Coast falling into the ocean and whatever else, and so many people did meditations in California, and then the call went out for people to start meditating, and I said, don't tell me what's the same, tell me what's different. And people began to realize that the future was not as dire as many of them thought. So 2012, again, I wasn't sure if there was a lot of prophecies, but if you could mix that with what your opinion is of what goes on in the next 4 years or so, because everything is beginning to condense, everything is beginning to pull humanity back into the beginning of that quantum leap. So take us there and take it away.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Sean. What I didn't want to have to dwell on is the reincarnation thing. If you're interested, you can go to my website, divinecosmos.com, and read about that. Because I don't really think this is about individual personalities as much as it's about yourself. A lot of people have come up to any of us on this panel, I'm sure, and would like to have us be the savior figure, for lack of a better term. And there's no messianic return. It's a consciousness awakening that's happening in each person. And so if you want to get help from others on your spiritual path, that's fine. But I would always encourage you to practice discernment and recognize that if a truth doesn't resonate with you, you can throw it away and not look back. Because as one of our panelists was saying, this is a future that we create. 2012 appears to be an energy field which is largely dependent upon our focus in terms of how we choose to go into it. And one of the reasons why we know that is because of the government time travel project I just spoke about in my workshop, which many of you were at, called Project Looking Glass. And it turns out that the person looking through the looking glass determines the future that you see by what they expect they're going to see in the future. So this is an actual government Atlantean reverse engineered time viewing technology that has now confirmed factually, and I've had multiple witness testimonies that don't even know each other independently tell me this, that we're dealing with a situation where how you look at it does determine the outcome. So if that works for you, then work with that, because honestly, I don't believe that we're dealing with the cataclysmic reality. The Edgar Cayce readings you spoke of, Sean, were largely dictated by an entity that at the end of the readings would call itself Halaliel. And Halaliel was later identified by the people in Cayce's circle as being a trickster entity, and trickster means negative. So this entity is responsible for the prophecies of California sinking into the ocean. Do you think if I believed that I would live in Los Angeles? Honestly. So, I'm not like you, though. I don't want to die until I'm ready. I wouldn't get anything out of it, I don't think. But, no, seriously. Seriously, I think that...
In David's defense, a lot of us get that, by the way. Dude, you live in Hermosa Beach. You know, what are you talking about? You predict the future, and you live in Hermosa Beach. That's where the wave's going to wipe everything out. And I keep telling him, well, California's going to be all that's left, and it's going to be the rest of the United States that falls into the sea. So, you know. That's right, man.
Well, again, I want to remind everyone here that each soul, every one of you, is precious beyond imagination. And it's just such an incredible honor for all of us on this panel to be able to share this energy with you, because as you tune into our frequency, there's a very real energetic conduit that is formed. And if we are clear enough, then our personality disappears and we become a lens for the Creator that you're shining to us to shine back onto you, hopefully with some transformation and some nice filigrees on it. So I wanted to share with you perspective on 2012, getting back to your earlier question, Sean. And this deals with the idea of what exactly is going to happen between now and 2012. And this gives me a great segue into a piece of information which is scientific in nature, which I've wanted to share at this conference, and this is the great time to do it. I was poking around in Russian physics. I was looking through the web for various scientific studies done by Russians on torsion fields, which is the energy field of consciousness. And they've done some fantastic work. I, quite by accident,